Hello everybody and welcome to this video that is about section 5, the description of consonants. Before we start this section, let us revise the speech organs that are involved in the production of speech sounds. Number 1, upper lip. Number 2, it's the nasal cavity or the nasal tract. 3, upper teeth. 4, this pass behind the teeth, the alveolar ridge. 5, hard palate. 6, soft palate or venom. 7, uvula. 8, it's the pharynx. 9 and 10, right, one of them is refers to the larynx, so say 9. 10 refers to the vocal cords or the vocal folds. Okay. 11, lower teeth. 12, lower lip. 13, the tongue, which is a very active articulator. And of course, as you can see, and I also already said this, it's divided into different parts: the tip, the blade, the front, the back, and the root. Okay, so these are the speech organs or the vocal organs. Now, to describe a consonant, we have to take into consideration 3 criteria. This means that if we take any consonant sound, say S or P or T, if you want to describe it, you have to use the 3 criteria: voicing, place of articulation, and manner of articulation. So this is what we are going to speak about in this session. The first point used to describe a consonant sound is voicing, which refers to the state of the vocal cords. Okay? What is the state of the vocal cords like when air passes through them? Do they vibrate or not? So, if they vibrate, we have what we call voiced sounds. If they don't vibrate, voiceless sounds are produced. We've already talked about this in the previous video. If you need more and more explanations, go back to it. Okay? These are the voiced and voiceless sounds in English. The second criterion that we use to describe a consonant sound is the place of articulation, which refers to the speech organs involved in the production of consonant sounds. Each speech sound is produced in a certain area in the mouth. Okay? From that, we can know its place of articulation. Take some examples. 4 sounds: p, b, m, w. Try to produce the sounds and think about the organs that are involved in their production. So, both lips come together. Look at the picture. You see the lips? This is what happens when you produce these 4 sounds. The lips come together, the upper one and the lower one. These sounds are called bilabial sounds. Bi, you know, it's a prefix which means two lips. So we have the involvement of 2 lips in the production of these 4 sounds. bilabial sounds. F and V. Which organs are involved? The lower lip in contact with the upper teeth. Have a look at the picture. You see the lower lip in contact with the upper teeth. You can just produce the sounds and feel that. F, V. These sounds are called labiodental sounds. Labiodental sounds. Involvement of the lip and the teeth. Th and the. Which organs are involved? The tip of the tongue, so the tongue, and the upper teeth. Have a look at the picture. You see the tip of the tongue involved with the upper teeth. Th, the. These sounds are called dental sounds. Dental. Teeth, you see? Dental sounds. T, D, S, Z, N, R, L. They are produced in the same place of articulation, which is the contact between the tongue and the alveolar ridge. That's area behind the teeth. Look at the picture. You see the tip of the tongue behind the teeth, the upper teeth. These sounds are called alveolar sounds. Alveolar. This comes from the word alveolar here. Alveolar ridge. Sh, j, sh, j, ch, j. Produced in the area between the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. Of course, in contact with the tongue. Look here, this area here. This is the alveolar ridge. This is the hard palate. So in between. Okay? So the tip of the tongue comes in contact with this area. These sounds are called palato-alveolar. Palato-alveolar. Okay? Because they are produced in the area between the hard palate and the alveolar ridge. Now the y sound, y, where is it produced? It's produced at the level of the hard palate when it comes into contact with the tongue. Look at the picture. It's this area here. Okay? The front of the tongue in contact with the hard palate. The sound is called the palatal sound. Palatal sound. K, G, Ng. You notice that we are going backward. These sounds are produced when the back of the tongue comes into contact with the velum or the soft palate. Picture, you see, the back of the tongue in contact with the velum. So you notice that the back goes with the soft palate, the front goes with the hard palate, and then the tip can move in this area here. Okay? The teeth, the alveolar ridge. Sounds like these are called velar sounds. Okay, it comes from the velum. Velar sounds. It is produced at the glottis. Okay, you see, in the larynx. What is the glottis? You remember? It's the space between the vocal cords. So this sound is produced at this level here, and it is called a glottal sound. A glottal sound comes from glottis. Good. Now this is a summary of the different types of sounds depending on the place of articulation. Now focus on these three consonant sounds. and m. These consonant sounds have the same place of articulation. They are all bilabial. They are produced when the two lips come together. So, when two sounds are produced in the same place of articulation, we call them homorganic sounds. Homorganic sounds. We can think about a number of examples. F and V are homorganic. F and V are homorganic. They are both dental. T, D, S, Z, N, R, L are all homorganic. Why? Because they are produced at the level of the alveolar ridge, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so you can think about other examples. After having talked about the place of articulation, now let us deal with another criterion that we use to describe the speech sounds. It is the manner of articulation. When we say manner, we ask the question how? How are these speech sounds articulated? So here we describe how the airflow, that is the air coming from the lungs, how is this airflow constricted in the vocal tract, in the vocal cavity? Is it a total obstruction? Is it a partial one? Or is it a very little constriction or obstruction? We will see some examples later. Focus on these sounds: p, b, t, d, k, and g. Now, focus on the way the air is constricted. So there is a total obstruction of airflow. Say p, p. You see, the air is blocked. Then after that, there is a release of that air. P. Have a look at this picture. You see, the air is blocked at this level of the lips. Then it is released to produce the sound. These sounds are called stop sounds. Stop. Now have a look at these speech sounds, these consonant sounds. How are they produced? Is there any stop? Is there any total obstruction of airstream when we produce these sounds? Listen. Okay, so what do we notice? There is a partial obstruction, and of course when this partial obstruction happens, there is an audible friction. We can hear it. Okay, so partial obstruction of airflow plus an audible friction. Have a look at the picture. So you see, there is here at this level a partial obstruction of airstream. Okay, this may happen at this level as well, alveolar ridge. It depends on the place of articulation of the sound. These sounds are called fricative sounds. So the stop sounds, total obstruction. Fricative ones are there is a partial obstruction. Ch and j. When we pronounce these two sounds, what happens? There is a movement from a stop to a fricative. You see, t is a stop, sh is a fricative. So you move from a stop to a fricative, from a stop to a fricative. These two sounds are called affricates or affricate sounds. Some people call them affricative sounds. So affricates or affricative. M, n, ng. Do you remember them? They are nasal sounds. When we produce them, the air passes from the nasal cavity. Have a look at the picture. So the air does not go through the oral cavity, it goes through the nasal cavity. So they are nasal sounds. Nasal. L and R. In the production of these two sounds, what happens? Air passes from one or both sides of the tongue, right? And they are called liquids, liquid sounds. Y and W. Now here, there is a very little constriction of airflow. This is why they are sometimes called semi-vowels. Okay, they resemble the vowels in the sense that the airflow passes freely, almost freely. There is a very little constriction of airflow. You know that in the production of vowels, air passes freely without any obstruction, right? So this is why we call these two speech sounds semi-vowels in English, right? They have a characteristic of vowels and they have another characteristic of the consonants, okay? These are called glide sounds, glide sounds. This is a summary of what we have said about the manner of articulation, the different manners, stops, fricatives, affricates, nasals, liquids, and glides or semivowels, right? This chart summarizes the three criteria of describing consonant sounds. So here you can see we have the places of articulation, here we have the manners of articulation, and here we have voicing, right? So if you want to describe any speech sound, you start with the voicing quality, then the place of articulation, next the manner of articulation. And you say, for example, B is voiced, bilabial, stop. You see how we describe the sounds? I repeat, start with the voicing quality, voiced or voiceless, then the place of articulation, then the manner of articulation. Take any sound from the chart. Th, for example. So you say it is voiceless, comma, dental, comma, fricative. Okay, so this is how we describe the speech sounds. Okay, now you can use this chart to describe the following sounds. Then after that, check your answers. Well, that's the end of this session. Thank you so much for your attention and good luck everybody.